Boop, 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 along with Lollin. 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 Oh, hi-oh. Oh, hi-oh. Let me adjust my microphone slightly. Oh, hi-oh. Today is August 3rd, I think. August 3rd, 2018, and welcome to the second episode of Burp Lollin with Loloth. Hello. Ah, God damn it, why does that keep happening? It's supposed to be a smiley face here, and it's supposed to say 8318, and here's a donger. It doesn't really look like a donger. Ah. Oh well, that's the country of Ecuador. Ecuador. That's how you spell Ecuador. Today's episode is brought to you by a can of black beans that I didn't bother heating up, and a Dr. Pepper that I drank already. And I've been awake since I woke up yesterday at about 2 p.m. and it's 8 a.m. now. So that's 18 hours, right? 19, yeah. So that's 18 hours. Not planning on sleeping until at least tomorrow. So we'll see if that works out. I was gonna go to sleep. Successfully masturbated myself. Uh, was lying in bed about 2 hours ago, unbelievably warm in my apartment. My mother called me early in the morning for some reason. Talked to her for a minute. Everything was fine. Just checking up. Really weirdly early, but whatever. Dogs come out, start barking incessantly. I live next door to these really small little dogs that just bark constantly. It's infuriating. Um, and it's really hot in my apartment. I have a swamp cooler. I just turn it off because it doesn't do anything. I had the fan going. I realized the fan was actually making it worse. Started getting really paranoid. Thought that maybe my hot water heater was over, like too much hot water, and that it was radiating out into the apartment and making it too hot. So I turned the shower on and I just drained all the hot water, which made it hotter because then the steam in the bathroom, and it got really hot in the bathroom. So I opened all the windows, but then a bunch of flies came into the apartment. So then I fought all the flies with a can of bug spray, and I killed all the flies. And in doing that, I chased them into the kitchen, where I realized that the back of my refrigerator was really fucking hot for some reason. And so I moved the refrigerator away from the wall and made sure everything in the refrigerator was okay. Went online, started researching refrigerators, found out that they're supposed to be like that, and uh, and now it's a little bit cooler in my apartment. So basically, I didn't do anything, um, and made it a lot more complicated than it needed to be. But this, because of all that, I decided that I'm just going to do today's episode right now instead of sleeping. So I haven't slept, feeling pretty weird. Might work out for the better. I tend to be able to rant about things a lot better when I haven't slept. So hopefully this works out good. I'm wearing a shirt today. It's dark in my room, and I have a rainy background instead of the snowy background from yesterday. So see how it goes. Um, Today's first subject, of course, we're doing In This World. In his world, fear does not exist. In this world, Sonic is my boyfriend. And um, James Gunn unlikely to be rehired by Disney as Guardians of the Galaxy director. So, this is a headline that brings to topic several things that are occurring in the world today. Uh, Probably everybody knows what social media is. Basically, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, Grindr, LinkedIn, all that stuff. Furaffinity.com, Tumblr, all that garbage. Anything where you go on there and you post pictures of the pancakes you ate in the morning, and then you discuss your opinion about why white people are evil. Um, Recently, a very famous comedian named Roseanne Barr tweeted on Twitter about a lady named Valerie Jarrett, I think is what her name is. I don't care. And she's was one of President Barack Obama's advisors in the White House or on his cabinet or something. Again, I don't research anything I talk about on this show because why would I do that? Um, anyway, the lady in question is African American. She's black, but if you look at a picture of her, you wouldn't know that from looking at her. I forgot to do my stopwatch. Let me start that right now. 7 minutes later. Doesn't matter. She's a black lady, okay? And Roseanne tweeted. Uh, she said something about how the lady was the product or the baby of the Nation of Islam, because I guess she's a Muslim, Nation of Islam, and Planet of the Apes. And the lady looks like a character from Planet of the Apes. She fucking does. You know, um, Personally, in my opinion, human beings look like apes. I look like one. Everybody does. We have similar facial features. You know, in the same way you could say that some lions look like people. Some people look like dogs. It's just a comparison. We tend to do that. Sometimes you look at clouds and you see people's faces. Sometimes you look at clouds and you see a fire truck. It's just something that we do. We find patterns in things and we identify them to make them more human to us. And it works both ways. And we attribute aspects of things that aren't human to humans. So there's nothing wrong about that. There's nothing inherently racist about that. But black people have this um, common racial like slur or negative depiction as being ape-like. Just like if you drew an Irish person as a leprechaun, or a Mexican person asleep with a sombrero tucked over their head or something. You draw a black person as an ape or as a monkey. That's a common, very racist depiction of somebody from that background. So when Roseanne said that this one lady looked like a baby between Nation of Islam and Planet of the Apes, everybody freaks the fuck out and thinks that she's being incredibly racist. So much so that she actually was fired the same day, several hours later, from her television show, and the show was canceled. Um, she apologized, and apparently she then went on and began defending herself in a lot of really elaborate, kind of inane ways, trying to be funny about it, trying to make people laugh about it, and ended up just making people very, very angry at her, even more angry than she already was. She got fired, her show got canceled because of something she said on the internet. Um, and a lot of people on the so-called left side of the political spectrum, the liberals, uh, said good. Excuse me. That's good. That should happen. Um, People claimed that her freedom of speech was being violated, and the left said, no, it's not. She's allowed to say whatever she wants. No one can stop her from saying that. But that doesn't mean that ABC, the company that put her show on the air, has to associate with her if she has those kind of opinions. Now, Roseanne came out and saying, I didn't realize that the lady was black. I would have never said that if I did. I wasn't trying to be racist. I am so sorry. Please forgive me. But completely falls on deaf ears. Her show's off the air. People on the show, her cast members even come out and say, we're going to do the show without her and just make it about her TV family and write her off the show. So that character that she played, not on the show anymore. That's how extreme this has become. Her career is basically over, completely over, because she made a joke on the internet. And the left is fine with that. The liberals, they're happy about it because her show was um, seen as being very conservative from the right side. They talked about a lot of stuff uh, in support of the current president, Donald Trump, and stuff like that, which the liberals, the left side, hates beyond any other thing. Now, James Gunn is a filmmaker. He directed the two Guardians of the Galaxies movies for the Marvel universe, which both are pretty good, entertaining action comedy sci-fi movies. You know, I liked both of them. Um, James Gunn previously worked with Trauma Pictures, you know, the Toxic Avenger, stuff like that. Lloyd Kaufman, incredibly offensive, intentionally offensive stuff. People getting shit on and drowning in their own shit and getting their dicks cut off and choking on tits and stuff like that. Um, while he was working with Trauma, he would regularly on his social media pages make jokes about pedophilia, about raping kids and eating kids, saying stuff like, this movie is so good it made me want to fuck a little boy or something like that. I'm not going to direct quote. You can find all of these pretty easily online. These tweets and posts online that he made about how badly he likes to have sex with kids and how he thinks that's hilarious. And this was years and years and years and years ago. Okay, so Roseanne, it was the same day she makes this tweet about this racist joke about this lady, gets fired in a few hours. James Gunn makes these things while he's working with a company that the product that they put out is intentionally offensive. They make movies for the shock value of the movies. Um, you know, Trauma Pictures, Toxic Avenger, that's what they do. He makes all these jokes about raping kids, killing kids, eating kids, and stuff like that. It's pretty fucked up, right? But does them in the intention of being funny. Now, whether you find that funny or not, I feel like his intention was to be funny. Same as Roseanne. Her intention was to make a joke. Anyway, years go by. People uncover these posts that he made and make a big deal out of it, blow it up. It becomes a big news event. Disney, who owns Marvel, who produces all the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, decides to fire him, take him off Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So those are both very successful movies. Nobody thought they would do well because that's a weird part of the Marvel universe. It's not Captain America, it's not Iron Man, something that's pretty easy to sell to a wide audience. It's, you know, a talking raccoon and a tree monster and they're flying around in outer space. It's kind of strange stuff, but somehow this guy James Gunn, he pulls it off. He makes it work. They're big, successful films. So, you know, people are all ready and all set for what he's going to do with number 3. Disney says, no, thank you. We don't want to associate with you. Um, that kind of subject matter isn't something that we want to be associated with. Seeing as how we're Disney, we produce entertainment for family and children. Well, this comes out in the left, the same people who support Roseanne being fired and are very happy that she's been fired and her career has been completely destroyed, are in an outrage because James Gunn nowadays is considered a champion for the left, for the liberals, and everything that's happened to Roseanne is now happening to one of their people, and they're very mad about it. Um, the cast of the movie gets together and writes this big article or this big letter, and they all sign it and everything, talking about pretty sensibly, in my opinion, what he did was inappropriate. It was a product of the time. It was many years ago. He's since apologized multiple times for doing it. It's easy to understand why he would post those things on the internet. Um, we would really, really like it if he could come back and make this movie with us. Disney, this one says unlikely to be hired, and I believe that since that's been posted, they have in fact decided that they're not going to hire him back. They're going to hire somebody else to make the movie. And the left side of the argument, the liberals are very mad about that. Um, don't 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 dish it out if you can't take it. I think a lot of people would probably think. You know, are the two events comparable? Well, yeah, of course they are. I'm comparing them right now. Should they be comparable? Are they the same thing? Well, no, not entirely, but it's kind of one is an immediate thing in a very extreme case, and one is something resurfacing, coming back. But it's the same basic idea. How is one thing fair and one thing not fair? Um, that's a topic for another day. But what I think the real danger here is is how social media, how in a group mentality and a mob mentality can form, where uh, you have to be behind certain ideas. You're not allowed to divert from the status quo. You're either on this side or on this side, and if you're on this side, you have to think these certain things. If you change your tune in any way, you're you're cast out. You're demonized. You're not allowed to be part of either of these groups. You can be in the middle, but in the middle you cannot take advantage of the benefits of being in either one of these groups. Being in either one of these groups, though, you have to toe the line. And if you step out of line, um, the the very destructive nature of this thing can bite you. Your career can be destroyed. Roseanne will probably never work again. Not for a long time. I don't know if anybody remembers. I'm old compared to my group of people that I hang out with, that I talk to, and back in the day, Roseanne Barr sang the national anthem at a sporting event. She sang it very badly, and again, again, overnight, her public opinion plummeted, and she dug her way up, crawled her way up back from that, and made her show and had a comeback, and it was pretty successful for a while. And then, this one innocent little thing comes out, and her career is ruined forever because of this mentality of, if you're either with us or if you're not with us, you're against us. Um, and here now it's happened to someone on the other side, so you can see that it works both ways. James Gunn, somebody who um, a long, long time ago was making very different products than he is now. It comes back to bite him, and in a matter of moments, his career is done. Is done. I mean, he loses this huge film that he was going to work on. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? I think it's a really, really bad thing. At the time that happened, you could go on Twitter and you could watch and you could see celebrities deleting in mass posts that they made on social media. They really were scared. They didn't want anyone to see jokes that they had made in case it came back to bite them. It's comparable to something along the lines of baseless accusations of misconduct, where, and a lot of times you do have people who did do some really nasty stuff and who are now facing the music, but it's the ability to weaponize that and to just go on there and say, this guy touched my ass one time, or this guy made a post about how he hates black people, or this guy said that he thinks Donald Trump is a good president, and then that spreads, and so many people see it and repost it and share it and what have you, and you're done. There's no trial in the court of public opinion. And with social media, um, you can be vaporized in a click of the mouse, press of the enter key on your keyboard. Is it a good thing? No. It's bad. It's scary. People need to think. People need to critically think about this sort of thing. Should Roseanne be rehired? That's up to ABC. Should James Gunn be rehired? That's up to Disney. It's not it doesn't matter what my opinion is. Were their jokes funny? It doesn't matter. The point I'm trying to make is that if you have this thing now that everyone has to be a part of, or they're nothing. If you want to have a career, you have to be either over here or over here, and you have to believe these things, and you have to support these ideas. And if not, if you step out of line for even a second, you're gonzo. You're done. It's really, really not supportive of open-mindedness, free speech, or any of the ideals that the different sides of the argument claim to support. So fucking don't do it anymore, you stupid assholes. All right, that's all I have to say about that. Let's check the news. China announces 60 billion of U.S. goods for tariff retaliation. Jesus. I don't give a shit. U.S. employers add a bunch of jobs. Blah 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 blah. That's good, I guess. Unemployment is down. Campaigns on their own as cyber threats royal midterm. Misinformation camps. Yeah, social media. Excuse me, same thing we were talking about before. This social media, you go on there, if you're not one or the other, you're nothing. You have to be very, very, very careful. Fake, disgusting news. Donald Trump, same thing. There's no such thing as journalistic integrity anymore. You can just go on the internet and you can say, this is what I think, this is what you should think too. Post, tweet, whatever the fuck it's called. And if people bite, that's real now. It's pretty fucked up. And it can be turned into a very powerful weapon. Blah, 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 Zimbabwe, wildfires. Apparently, the entire state of California is on fire. So that's not good. Suicide bombing at mosque kills 29 in Afghanistan. This world's pretty fucked. Somebody found some weed. 9 active shooter. Active shooter, is that today? Authorities probe mysterious sprung Ohio base. Oh, Friday. Is today Friday? Today is Friday. Okay, so that's happening right now. Active shooter, Ohio. If you're watching this later, you probably know what that's about. And the news is scary. The news is scary. Where's all the fun stuff? Amazon.com. Nevada weed sales. There we go. Even though yesterday I was talking about how bad synthetic marijuana is, I still feel like they should definitely legalize natural marijuana. The news is stupid. Japan, and Nippon Ichi. We need more female medical students. Good idea. And a guy in Scotland is rowing across the ocean for the lols. Well, that's good. Let's stuff with the news. Let's stop with the news and move on to stuff that is epic. Eventually, one of these days, I'm going to get around to making some title cards for this. Okay, so let's just close out of this. Ooh, not do that. No, it's too dark. I light my face with my computer screen. Um, so today in stuff that is epic, there's a couple things I want to talk about. One is that today, August 3rd, is the first day of the annual Evo fighting game tournament. Um, so if you're a fan of fighting games or live streaming or tournaments or esports, or you just are bored and you want something to watch today or over the weekend, check out twitch.com, check out YouTube Gaming, check out whatever, because there's going to be tons of it. Um, Lots of fighting games having tournaments. Street Fighter 5, Injustice 2, Dragon Ball Fighters, Blaze Blue, Cross Tag, um, Tekken 7, that whatever the hell else thing it's called. All sorts of good stuff. Probably some Vampire Savior in there. See Loloth. See Lilith dancing around, saying "Da Kawaii." Gonna be epic. Probably gonna announce some stuff as well. New stuff from Soul Calibur 6. They just recently showed off Terry Bogard. Rule 63 Terry Bogard is gonna be the final new character in SNK Heroines. So that's gonna be cool. That comes out the same day Spider-Man does, September 7th. You're going to have the potential for Mortal Kombat 11 reveal at the Injustice 2. Man, that would be something, wouldn't it? If we get to see Mortal Kombat 11. Injustice 2 tournament, Sonic Fox. I don't even know if Sonic Fox is in it. But if he is, he's probably going to win. Right? See Daigo in there. Will Daigo ever win a tournament ever again? Who knows? So it's going to be exciting. It's going to be really cool. Lots of good fighting game action, lots of announcements, lots of stuff to watch over the weekend. Dead or Alive 6, they just showed off a new character being added to Dead or Alive universe. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Definitely going to be checking that one out. Also, they said, I think early this morning, that the new event for Overwatch is going to start on Thursday, August 9th. And that's going to be the summer games again. You're going to be able to play Lucio Ball. They showed a new playfield, a new stadium. It's going to be in Busan in South Korea, which is, I guess, where Diva is from. So they might show off some more stuff with Diva as well. Everybody's going to get new, or some of the characters are going to get new skins representing their home countries. Sombra's already confirmed as having a Mexico skin. So that'll be worth checking out. New content for Overwatch. If anybody's still playing that game, that'll be on Thursday on the 9th. That'll go live. So they say. For the rest of stuff that is epic, I want to talk about game ideas that became real. And I want to tell everybody, and I want to just put this out there so that it can become real. The idea that I had for probably the best video game ever made. I'll never be able to make it, but somebody can. So I had the idea for Demon Souls when I was like 15. Um, this is when I started, for the first time ever, I played the game Diablo. And that's a great game. Point and click, dungeon crawling, getting loot, killing demons, killing bad guys, going on quests. Really very good game. Diablo 2, fantastic game, one of the classics of all time, right? But playing through Diablo, I thought, wouldn't it be cool if you could have a game like this, but you could control your guy? You know, not just click on stuff. What if you could control your guy in a style similar to something like Ninja Gaiden or Devil May Cry, but you could customize your guy? Wouldn't that be cool if you could customize your guy, their face, what kind of class they were, of course, you know, because in Diablo you could have the barbarian and the archer and stuff like that. I don't remember, it's been forever, but you know, you can pick your class and you can customize how they look and their fighting style and everything. And then instead of just having this one deep dungeon that you go into, what if there was like a bunch of dungeons? And what if you could like go and move around in this big world and explore all these different dungeons? Anyway, I had this whole idea and I came up with this whole thing and I thought, what a great idea. And I thought, hopefully somebody makes that one day. And then years later, Demon Souls. And I'm like, bam, that's it. That's the game, right? Um, I had another idea for a game called Bear War, and in that game you would have it would be like a big real-time strategy game with armies, but what it would be is that you could go in and individually control the different bears. It would be all these different kinds of bears, weaponized robotic cyborg bears, and each one would have different like skills and abilities and purposes and roles. And if you wanted to, you could simulate this huge clash of these two armies of bears coming together, or three armies and all this stuff, and do all sort of a grand strategy sort of thing. Or in real time, you could just zoom in and pick individual characters and control them yourself. And later on, a game called Mountain Blade came out, and I think I never actually played Mountain Blade or Total War or some shit. I don't remember. Anyway, one of those games is basically exactly my idea for Bear War with humans instead of bears. Um, what was the other one? I had another one. Oh yeah, when I was like 4 or 5, um, I remember me and my dad were taking a walk around the neighborhood, and maybe he was giving me a piggyback ride even. And our favorite game at the time was Super Mario Brothers. And I was talking to my dad, hey dad, wouldn't it be cool if you could have a Mario game where you were in outer space and you were Mario, but instead of like flat, it was like you could move around in 3D. And this is way before Super Mario 64. They didn't have fucking 3D games, you know, and you're in space and there's all these planets and you can run around like to the bottom of the planet and all this stuff, you know, and jump between planets and shit. I was 4 years old, and then blah, 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 Super Mario Galaxy, right? Anyway, my point is not that I came up with these ideas, but that the ether of the mind, the subconscious, the collective unconscious, whatever. Sometimes these ideas they latch into my brain and they formalize, and I realize them, and I describe them to myself or I describe them to other people, only to find years later that someone else had that same idea and made it a real thing. But nobody has ever made this game, and this is the game that I want to see. Okay, let me try to describe it. It's called Spiders. All right, and there's a game called Spider, and there's a game called Deadly Creatures, I think, where you can play as a spider and fight stuff. And there's a game called Bad Mojo where you play as a cockroach. And you know, there's other games where you play as a spider, or you fight spiders, or you're playing as a small insect in a large world. But that's not what this game is. This game is you start as a very small little spider, a little jumping spider, and you're on the leaf of a tree or something. And the controls would be similar to Demon Souls or Dark Souls. So your shoulder buttons are your primary attacks, but they're your different hands, like right attack, weak attack, strong attack, left left arm is like weak attack, strong attack, stuff like that. And then for different spiders, there would be modifiers depending on what their abilities were. And then your D-pad and your face buttons would be your different spider abilities. So the jumping spider has the ability to jump, for example. Different spiders would have the ability to shoot webs, or build webs, or swing like Spider-Man, or dig, or jump even farther, or swim. You start as this really small spider, and the game world is the real world. It's one-to-one rendered reality from the point of view of a spider. Um, and you take away all these tropes of like, I'm on the leaf and this is an instance leaf and 6 ants are gonna spawn and I have to fight these 6 ants and that'll unlock an invisible barrier so that I can move on to the next. Fuck that. You're on a fucking leaf and it's a real leaf and it's blowing in the wind and it's the size of a leaf and you're the size of a spider. Get to this point however you can. And in that way, it's similar to Shadow of the Colossus, where you just have to figure out how to do it. You have to figure out how to get there. And the world would be like a puzzle in and of itself. Traversing the world would be like a puzzle in and of itself. Enemies would spawn in real time and behave realistically. So it's possible that you would just immediately get killed because a bird would see you and come and try to eat you. It's also possible that you might find an ant and be able to eat it, or an aphid or something on a leaf and be able to eat it and regain your hunger bar, your health bar, however that would work. I didn't figure all that stuff out. But anyway, you get down to the bottom of this tree and you fight a slightly bigger spider. It's a boss now, okay? And the boss fights would be designed so that that particular spider could fight it. So that as the jumping spider, you can fight the wolf spider or whatever it is. When you beat that spider, when you kill it, you unlock it. You can now play as it. And probably what it would be is that you would have a larger boss type spider that would summon ads that would be smaller spiders, but beating the larger spider would gain you the ability to be those like ads. So like now you can be a jumping spider that can jump even farther. Unlocking new spiders would unlock new traversal abilities, and you could explore more areas of the world, and it would be completely non-linear. So if you could figure out how to use the world, how to use physics in a kind of like a Breath of the Wild style way to get to a harder spider and beat it, you could sequence break. You could get the ability to swing on the web. You could get the pond skimmer spider and get the ability to swim or make an air bubble and breathe and go underwater and get the ability to do that earlier than normally you would. But eventually, you would be able to completely and totally explore the entire world, and you could switch between spiders in real time. So when you unlock one, you can then switch back and forth, and so one spider has the ability to jump very far, one spider has the ability to dig underground, and the game world is a very small area comparatively to a human or relative to a human. Like maybe like a park or like somebody's backyard or the inside of somebody's house or something. It'd be a relatively small area, but to a spider, it's gigantic. It's humongous. Enemies would just be realistic things. So like a bird to a spider is terrifying. Imagine, or think about Shadow of the Colossus. If you ever played it, you wander, you're this tiny little guy, and the Colossus is this humongous thing, and you can conceivably beat it if you can get to it. But that game is balanced to make it possible for you. In this game, it wouldn't be. If you're this tiny little spider and this fucking bird decides to eat you, it would be like a goddamn dragon coming, and you're fucking dead. think about how in like Stalker, Shadow of Chernobyl, sometimes you're just walking along and then you just die and you don't know what happened. What the fuck happened, you know? That's what Spider would be like. Spiders would be like. Sometimes you would just die and then you'd be able to like replay it and watch it from, oh, somebody stepped on you. Oh, a dog came over and ate you. But it would be possible to beat these things if you get like the Black Widow. If you unlock the Black Widow, for example, if you can do it, if you're good enough at the game, you can kill that dog. You know, you can kill that bird. You can even kill humans because there would be humans, and they would have just simple AI routines that would behave like normal human beings, um, normal birds, normal dogs. The cool thing about the game is that eventually you would unlock all these abilities, and when you die, you'd have to figure out if it would be like permanent death. That would be horrible. Probably you'd be able to save or like make like kind of similar like bonfires. You'd be able to set save points throughout the game. Anyway, what would be cool is that as you played, you would start to realize that other spiders in the world, and there would be set boss spiders that would be controlled by the computer. Other spiders in the world would be other players. So the potential to run into another person would be pretty high. There wouldn't necessarily be a reward for killing them. Maybe you can steal one of their spider abilities. I don't know. I haven't figured all that out yet. But so say for example, you're trying to get across to a certain thing because you see a wolf spider over there. You want to go kill that wolf spider and get the ability to jump really far. And as you're going, you see another like a tarantula or something come along and just eat the wolf spider. That's another player. You know, it'd be this emergent gameplay that I think would be really cool. And you could do it without spiders too. But basically, it's a combination of like Shadow of the Colossus. And when I had the idea, Breath of the Wild didn't exist, but similar to how Breath of the Wild works, where it's just like, here's a big open world, we're just going to let you go. And if you can figure out how to get up there, you can get up there. You know, the option of being able to access that area is there, but it will be very hard for you. If you can figure out how to do it, it's available to you, you know. So that combined with Shadow of the Colossus, giant enemies, um, big open world with realistic hazards, not instanced combat sequences. Um, Maybe the boss, the wolf spider, decides to fuck off and not be where it normally is. You know, save at certain points or set a save point for yourself, and other players also impact your game. Or if you wanted to, you could play it completely offline, so it wouldn't be always online. If you wanted to, you could have that other player interaction. So it's like Demon Souls style combat with spiders, Metroid, Castlevania style, be able to unlock traversal options. Now, I can't possibly go that way unless you can figure out how to do it. Because in Super Metroid, like you can skip if you can figure out how to do it without the dash boots. You can do it. You know, if you can figure out how to get across the lake without the swimming spider, you can do it. It's going to be really fucking hard. Um, Metroidvania, Dark Souls, Breath of the Wild, Shadow of the Colossus, all combined into one thing, open world, and different worlds, different levels, different stages. Uh, anyway, that needs to be a video game. Somebody make that game. I can't do it. The idea is out there. It's in the ether. It's in the world now. Make it happen. Make it happen. Okay. So now we've done the news. We've done stuff that is epic. I guess we'll stick with stuff that is epic, even though I deleted it. One thing I did want to talk about, and if I don't talk about it today, I'm never going to talk about it, is that there is a game that came out recently called Chasm, and I want to get it. I've been looking at a lot of stuff about it. It's kind of cool. It's like a Symphony of the Night style game where, or like like that kind of style of Castlevania style game. Um, but the neat thing about it is that the map is randomly generated each time you play. It's not like Rogue Legacy where um, you die and you go back and it respawns. It's like, imagine if you started Symphony of the Night and you had one map set up and you could save, and if you died, you kept that same map set up. Once you beat it, you could then start a new game. Starting a new game, you get a different map. That's the idea. I think somebody is mowing the lawn right now, so that's gonna be. I hope nobody can hear that, because if you can, that's gonna be really annoying. But it's like Symphony of the Night, but once you beat, can you hear that? Somebody is fucking weed whacking out there. Maybe you can't hear it. I don't know. Anyway, I'll just ignore it. Symphony of the Night, but when you beat Symphony of the Night, you get a whole new map. It's randomly generated. It's called Chasm. I want to check it out. So I might do that, and maybe I'll have a review tomorrow, or maybe I'll stream it later. Who knows? But for now, seeing as how they're mowing the fucking lawn out there, let's go ahead and do. I'm getting really sweaty. I turned my fan off. Looking at Loloth. Please go away, Lawnmower Man. Lawnmower Man. That's a fucked up movie. Alright. Today on Looking at Loloth, I want to talk about. Looking at Loloth is a segment where I tell stories about myself. And I just realized, wouldn't it be horrible if I didn't have my mic on this entire time? I tell stories about myself. Yesterday we talked about my horrible addiction to drugs and one of the worst drug experiences I've ever had. Today, we're not going to talk about drugs at all. In fact, we're going to talk about a time in my life where I was completely sober and had been sober for some time. But it was right after that event with the synthetic marijuana where I had the complete mental break from reality, where I needed to get a job really bad, and my parents had let me come back and live with them because I'd been homeless for so long. But they said, enough is enough. You need to get a job. You need to move out. And they were actually selling the house, and they were going to retire and go travel the country in an RV. And I couldn't find any job whatsoever. But one thing that I did find was that there was a truck driving company, and they would actually let you come work for them. All you had to do was sign up, and you could. And it turned out it was a fucking horrible scheme, and they loan you all this money and say, you work for us and we'll pay you all back, and it's bullshit. I ended up owing them a lot of money. It was a bad time. Excuse me. But uh, they put you up in a motel. I went to this little town south of Dallas, Fort Worth area called Waxahachie in Texas. Waxahachie. Waxahachie, Texas. It's hard to say. Waxahachie, Texas. Waxahachie, I think is how you pronounce it in the Native American. But it's this company, this truck driving company. They teach you how to drive 18-wheelers. You stay in a motel. You go to the school. They loan you the tuition money, and if you work for them for a certain amount of time, they pay it off. This is the deal. This is my last option, basically, or I go back to being fucking homeless again. So I sign up. I go to Waxahachie. I go through the school, It's a crash course. They teach you how to drive this thing. They take you to the DMV. You get your CDL, your commercial driver's license, Class A. The next day, um, they put you in the fucking truck and you're on the road with a trainer, with an instructor who's an established truck driver who knows what they're doing, and you drive tandem with them for like a month or a certain number of miles. And what that means is that they're supposed to be teaching you how to do the business, how to be a trucker, but driving tandem, you only get paid for when you're hauling something, when you're hauling a load, and you only get paid when you get paid per mile. And there's very strict regulations for how many hours per week you can work, because you're your own boss basically. So you're not allowed to work over a certain number of hours, labor laws and stuff like that. So to make any money at this, you have to drive with a partner really, and you drive tandem. And what that means is one person drives during the day, and they drive for like 11 hours straight. They go to sleep in the back. They wake you up. You go drive during the night. So that's what I did for like 3 months with two different instructors. I drove this fucking truck every day, 7 days a week, 11 hours overnight. Um, this particular story takes place on the last day, the last night I ever drove an 18-wheeler for that particular company. Um, because after I got done with that shift, I got dropped off at a motel where I was then supposed to go to a school in Miraloma, California, which is part of the Inland Empire, very near Los Angeles, um, and take a driving test to be allowed to be solo. So I wouldn't have to be with an instructor anymore. I failed that test and got fired from the company. Thank God, because it was a fucking nightmare. The experience was horrible. But anyway, in this one particular, I almost died multiple times. But this one particular night, um, I was driving through Arizona to California. My instructor was asleep in the back. I had been driving for quite some time, but I still had a few hours to go. I think it's I-10, Interstate 10, that goes from like, I think it goes all the way east out of Texas, but I know that you can hit it in Texas and go through New Mexico into Arizona into California. Does that geographically work? I don't know. Anyway, I was driving through fucking Arizona and I was gonna get into California. Is the point? I'm heading west, and it's like 2, 3 in the morning. And this is in the middle of the desert, so it's very dark. And I'm gonna turn this off so it's even darker, because this is a scary story. Um, so we're driving. I'm driving. It's pitch black. Um, there's no street lights. You can't see the stars. You can't see the moon. There's no other cars on the road. And I'm on this pathway, this road like this, going off into the distance. And here is just flat open desert. And really, really far to my left is another road, the other side of the highway going east. Okay, and I'm driving down this way. Here's my truck, and here's me. Hello. Anyway, this kind of looks like a Eskimo penis. It's pitch black everywhere except for my headlights. You can see my headlights, and I can see in front of me, in front of the truck, and I can see beside the truck. Beside the truck, I can see out the passenger window and the driver's side window. and you can see the horizon line. You can kind of see the difference between the sky and the ground, but really it looks like you're just surrounded by blackness. There's no stars. There's no other cars' headlights. Occasionally over here, you would have a car coming this way, far off to the left. So the car is like really pretty small in my frame of reference, but nothing on the same road that I'm on. Now it was pretty late, and I had been driving for some time, so the potential of hallucination is there. I had prior a few months ago had a very bad experience with drugs, and because this is now I've been doing this for a few months. This is the last time I drove a truck for that company. So it's been like 3 months since I signed up for this thing. Um, haven't done drugs. I've been stone cold sober. Haven't smoked a cigarette. Uh, had some, maybe a soda. Had some caffeine. Had no alcohol. No illegal drugs of any kind. Maybe an aspirin or two. So I'm sober. But I had been awake for a while. I had been driving for a long time. The potential for hallucination is there. Now, I have stayed awake for the longest I ever stayed awake was 4 days. Uh, when I stay awake for like 2 days, I start to see little black things walking along that aren't really there. Um, things kind of get hazy and wavy. I close my eyes and you kind of see stars and flashes and stuff like that. That's sleep deprivation hallucination. I'm familiar with that. Never before or since if I had an experience, even on drugs. Every time I've had like a bad trip or like taken acid or mushrooms, the JWH, the synthetic marijuana, that was like a mental fuck up. I've had pretty strong visual hallucinations on acid before. Um, Very powerful visual hallucinations on a drug called 2CI. Uh, but that was everything I'm looking at. If I close my eyes, I go to fucking Yellow Submarine, Magical Mystery Tour. If I open my eyes, the walls are melting and my friend's face is turning into an octopus. But this was everything was normal, everything was fine. There was no shimmering, no wavering, no blurring of my vision. Pretty clear, pretty sharp. Um, Reflexes were fine, reactions were fine. I honestly don't think what I saw was an hallucination. I think it was fucking real, and I don't know what it was. I have no explanation for it. I have heard on paranormal radio shows, Coast to Coast AM, going on X, the message board, similar accounts to what I experienced. Let me tell you what it was. So I'm driving, pitch black, middle of the night, like 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. No other light sources except for my headlight, the occasional car way off in the distance to the left, going the other direction. But over time, I start to notice that way off to the left, I'm seeing this little shimmer of light. Little shimmer of light over here. And it's following me, or it's keeping pace with me. So if you've ever been driving at night and far off in the distance, your headlights are reflecting on like a guardrail, and you get this like kind of like line of white light that goes along with you, that's what I thought it was. I thought it was a reflection of the light in a guardrail. But it starts getting closer. And it gets closer and closer and closer, and it's keeping pace with my truck. And the truck that I'm driving, it wasn't a Peterbilt, it was international. And it had a governor on the engine, like a limiter for the speed, so it couldn't go over 60 miles per hour. You couldn't accelerate over 60 miles per hour even if you wanted to. The truck was capable of doing it, but this thing on the engine made it so that you couldn't. Um, there was a way to beat it. If you were going downhill, you could force it like up to 80 because of the weight of the thing going downhill. Um, you could put cruise control on and accelerate past it up to maybe like 62, 63. But this is desert, highway, flat stretch of land. So I'm going 60. Staying at 60. This thing, whatever it is also going 60, but it's also going faster because it's keeping pace with me and slowly getting closer and closer and closer and closer. As it gets closer, I start to see what it is, and it looks like a sheet of plastic, like a big sheet of white tarpaulin or plastic floating in the wind, blowing in the wind. Um, and so I think, oh, it's somebody's tie down for their truck, you know. So like I'm driving a trailer which is enclosed, and this one was a refrigerated trailer. I don't remember what we were hauling, but it's temperature controlled. So like for food or like electronic equipment or something like that, something that needs to stay at a certain temperature. That's what I'm hauling behind the tractor. But you also see like flatbed tractors that carry like logs or lumber or something like that, or like dirt or rocks, and they have to be tied down with a tarp. That's what I thought it was. I thought it was a tarp that had come loose and was blowing in the wind. As it gets closer and closer and closer, that's not what it is. Because its shape, and this is where it starts to get ridiculous, but if you imagine this actually fucking happening to you, its shape looks like a person. Okay? I mean, honestly, it was like this. Okay? As it's getting closer. Let me so this isn't stupid. I'm just doing this for reference. Just so you know what I'm talking about. Okay? This fucking thing, and it's bright white, and it has arms and legs and a piece that's up like a head, and it's flapping in the wind, and it's very thin. It's paper thin. It's getting closer to me. It's bright white. So, like I said, I thought it was a reflection of light in some metal or something. It's not. It's glowing. It's glowing white. It's shaped in the shape of a person, and it's like a person cut out of paper. Okay? If you imagine a person cut out of paper blowing, if you ever seen one of those car dealerships, the wacky blow up guy with his arms blowing in the wind, blowing in the air. Imagine that, but flat and glowing bright white with legs, and it's floating up in the air. And it didn't look like it was running. It just looked like its limbs were going crazy, like flapping and waving like crazy. Um, like being blown in a strong wind, you know. Um, and you would think if something was going forward really fast, that its parts would be blowing back, you know. So if something's going forward in the wind like this, the parts would be blowing back like that, you know. So like if you had a if you were driving in a car and like your dog sticks his head out the window, his ears blow back, right? That's what you would expect from this thing if it was substantial, but that's not what it was doing. It was like perfectly straight up, but I keep wondering where the camera is. It's perfectly straight up, but its limbs are flapping like crazy. Its head is flapping back and forth. Its legs are flapping back and forth. In the wind, no. It's physically doing that. It's not being affected by the wind or by the air or by moving. It's just doing that to do it. It's just going like that. This crazy fucking thing, like that, flapping its legs and its arms, going 60 miles an hour. Bright white. No details. No facial features. Not wearing clothes. No discernible details. A bright white light in this shape, but I can tell that it's a physical thing, like a piece of plastic, like a sheet of plastic. And as it gets closer, I realize how fucking big it is, because the truck is like 13 feet tall. All right. This goddamn thing was taller than the truck, so it's at least 14, 15 feet tall. All right. and now it's right next to me. I'm in the right lane. You're supposed to stay in the right lane of the highway in a big truck. I'm in the right lane. Here's the left lane. It's like 8, 9, 10 feet wide. So this thing is like 8, 9, 10 feet away from me. It doesn't touch the road. It's in the desert. It's over the sand and the dirt. And it's 15 feet tall, and it's just flapping. It's just fucking flapping and running alongside me. It's not making any sound. At this point, over the engine, I probably couldn't hear it. But I didn't, if it was like making the sound of flapping, like a flag flapping in the wind, but I couldn't hear anything. I probably wouldn't have been able to anyway over the sound of the engine and the truck and everything. At this point, I'm very scared because I don't know if I'm describing it properly or not, but you're in the middle of nowhere and you're by yourself. There was a guy asleep behind me who I hated, by the way. But he's asleep behind me, and I didn't think to wake him up because I don't know what the fuck to do. Um, I just kept driving, and I would look over at it, and I'm getting the impression that it's fucking looking back at me, you know, but it's got this head thing, but it's not like its head is turning towards me to look at me or anything. It's just fucking flapping like crazy. But it's going 60 miles an hour dead even with me. And I'm thinking I can't speed up, because like I said, 60's max speed. Fuck you, I'm not slowing down because I don't want to know what the hell this goddamn thing is. So I just kept going, and it just kept going right alongside me. And it continued that way for what felt like, you know, not very long amount of time. I don't know how long it was. I remember sitting there. It's been years since this happened. I remember sitting there and just holding the wheel and like looking at the clock and like looking ahead and just looking over at this fucking thing and just being more afraid than I've ever been in my entire life because I didn't know what the hell it was. I didn't know if it was alive, if it wanted something. And I've heard stories of people out in the middle of the desert driving, seeing people running alongside their cars, giant wolves running alongside their cars, white wolves, stuff like that. You hear tales of the Navajo Indians from the region, the Native American Navajo, the Skinwalker. Okay, and of course on the internet nowadays is this popular meme of the Skinwalker, but that's a very old, ancient story. And I see this thing, and that's what I think it is. And I think, fuck, that's what it is. It's a fucking skinwalker, and it's fucking with me, and it's made this shape for itself that's just it. I mean, I don't know if it sounds scary to you, but to me, I'm scared out of my mind. Bright white, glowing, thin, flapping in the wind. It's kind of funny if you think about it, but it wasn't funny for me. I tell you that much. Anyway, it didn't do anything. It just kept going alongside me, and I just kept fucking driving. No idea what to do. Scared out of my mind. For no apparent reason, with no warning, out of fucking nowhere, it shoots off. Forward. This is the desert. This is just flat surface. There's not any mountains or anything. It's not like there's curves in the road or anything like that. It shoots off so fast that in the span of like a second, okay, I'm not exaggerating, it's just fucking gone. It goes forward down the road, straight ahead, so far, so fast, I can't see it anymore. It's like just bam, boom, gone. And so I just keep driving. I just keep driving. And this is the last time I drove a truck for that company. I did it locally in Austin a few times later, and then I got a job driving smaller trucks for like a few years. This is the last time I drove an 18 wheeler for that company. Before that time, a few times before in the night, one time in Louisiana, one time in Texas, um, I saw some weird shit, and maybe I'll tell you about that on another episode. I definitely saw some weird fucking things out there. So I was kind of used to it, and in my mind, I was thinking, there's another one, I never saw anything like that, but I saw some strange things that I couldn't explain. So I'm thinking, that was another story, there's another story for me, another weird thing out on the road in the middle of the night that I can tell somebody about later. And I started to feel better about it because I was very, very scared. I mean, I literally used the word terrified, frozen in the driver's seat, and then phew, it's gone. And I have like an hour by myself in the dark, just sitting there thinking about what the fuck this thing was. And it was a skinwalker. It must have been. It was some kind of a ancient Navajo spirit. And then over time, I started to console myself and think, no, I was hallucinating. I was sleep deprived, like I was saying. But I don't really buy it. And like I've said before, I've been sleep deprived before. I've had those kind of sleep deprivation hallucinations before. Nothing like this. And I've been on some pretty fucked up drugs. Nothing like that. So I don't know what it is, and I don't know how to describe it. And I just think, you know what? It's over. Probably I'll never figure it out. One day I'll tell somebody about it, and they'll get a kick out of it. And I'm starting to feel better about it. Even not even really that scared anymore. Starting to think maybe I'll turn on the radio and listen to some late night music or something like that. And I'm leaving Arizona and I'm getting into California, and it's the last time I'm ever gonna have to drive one of these fucking trucks. I didn't know that at the time, but I did know that I was gonna be in a motel and I was gonna get to sleep in a bed for the first time in like 2 months, and I was gonna go to school and take this test, and if I did drive a truck again, it would be by myself. I wouldn't be with the asshole instructor in the back anymore. So I'm starting to feel a little bit better about the situation. And then there's a sign when you go between states. Welcome to California, right? This big fucking sign. You're crossing the border between Arizona and California. Welcome to California, it says. And if you believe me up until this point, and a lot of people don't when I tell them this story, and I promise you I have no reason to lie to you, I have not exaggerated in any way. This is how I remember it. This fucking happened to me. And if you believe me up until this point, very few people believe this next detail. But this is the truth. This is the truth. The goddamn thing, whatever the fuck it was leaning on the Welcome to California sign, like reclining on it with its fucking arm like that. Just, was it looking at me? Was it looking away? I don't know. I didn't have a face, but it was leaning like this on the sign. And I just shot past it, and I didn't look back. I don't know. Maybe it was a piece of plastic. Maybe it was a big sheet of plastic. I don't know. So that's my story. That's looking at Loloth. Um, that was an hour and 14 or so. That's a pretty good episode, right? Um, thanks for watching episode 2 of Lollin with Loloth. Thanks for watching. Watching. Desu. Desu. Tomorrow is August 4th. I don't have anything planned for tomorrow. Maybe I'll review that Chasm game. Um, Tell you another story from the past. I have to think about it. I haven't figured out what we're gonna do tomorrow. Talk about something in the news. Maybe we'll react to some videos online. If you have any suggestions, go ahead and leave them in the comments below. If you want to, you can subscribe, get notifications so you can see when I'm doing this. Plan on doing it every single day. Hopefully, I can consistently do that. But if you subscribe, you'll get notified when I'm going live, or you can just watch it after the fact. Yeah. But until then, this has been episode 2 of Lollin with Loloth. Thanks for watching. Bye bye. Do 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 do. Oops. Do 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 do. Along with Lolith. Do 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 ba do 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 do. Along with Lolith. Okay, bye bye.